I get together. It's going to be amazing. He will show up right, but 3D is crickets. Is knowing it will happen this way enough if I can't feel it real today? Okay. Do I believe that making the decision to be your new self, is that enough to manifest? Yes. Yes, it is. Now, let me go into detail about new self. When I make that declaration or that affirmation slash hybrid inner conversation, because I feel like I'm talking to higher self, okay? So call it what you want. When I'm saying that to myself, there's an instant flash in my mind. It's not always a clear picture, but I can see it and it's gone. But it's what I am as new self. It's a screenshot of me, or what means to me. I'm in the most loving, fulfilling, committed relationship with the person I choose. I'm not worried about money. I'm not worried about health. I'm not worrying about anything. Every single area of my life is over abundant in amazingness. Okay? That's what I mean when I say, this is who I am. I am in the new version of Kim. That's me. So, if you're telling yourself that you are new self each day, I'm assuming you've already went through what possible limiting beliefs were at play to manifest this current 3D. And I've interacted with you, so I know you've gone through your limiting beliefs. So when you're deciding to be new self and you don't feel anything, now listen, sometimes we don't feel anything. That's okay. Sometimes, some days we're having shitty days and we don't even feel like doing anything manifestation-wise. But we can still make our decision, right? So I still stand by all those. But let me say this. If you're telling yourself that you're new self and you're allowing yourself to feel what it would feel like to be the version of you who has the manifestations, okay? But if you're doing that and still noticing it's crickets and putting the focus out there, that would tell me that you're more of the version of yourself that thinks she's new self, but she's new self that's deciding it's not here yet, because that's where we're focused. So can the decision be enough? Yes. But it's really making that decision. We might have off days. That's normal. We're humans. But we want dominantly to be actively choosing to be new self. That's not forcing ourselves to feel things. It's not worrying about feelings. I'm saying it's that decision. Just like when someone's affirming. The goal of those affirmations is to get that person, the full goal is to get them into the state, right? So that goal is to get them into being new self for whatever they're affirming for or visualizing for, right? It's like really deciding that's who you are now, despite the 3D. And when I say despite, I mean, I don't give a shit what is in the 3D. So if I don't have what it is I'm manifesting physically in my 3D yet, I'm not concerned because I've made the decision to be new self. So I know it's happening. But if you're in that place and then noticing, yeah, it's not here yet. It's crickets. It's crickets. I've made that decision every day that I'm new self, right? I'm doing it every day, but it's still crickets. That's not new self. That's not. And yes, we have off days where we're human. That's normal. But if we're more there than in our state, we want to take a look at that. Why are we still looking, right? So don't start falling apart and thinking, oh my God, am I doing this wrong? Don't start doing that. Don't start panicking. But authentically, what are you thinking in this moment? If we're noticing crickets, now listen, I know logically we're interacting with our 3D, so we're kind of going to fucking know if our manifestation's here or not. But there's a difference in how you overall feel with, I know I'm new self. I know I'm going to have it out here. I'm going to go about my day and not fucking second guess that at all. I'm not going to question that at all. Boom. Let me say it like this. When I was having my shit time in September, when I felt very, very stuck and trapped in a state, I was telling myself every fucking day that I'm this new version of self. And most of the time, worrying about it. First couple of weeks, worrying, having fleeting moments of getting to that I'm her place. I'm in that state. Fleeting moments of feeling it. How did I know I was there? Because I had a knowing feeling everything's going to be okay. I'm totally getting what I want. Everything's going to be okay. Fleeting. And then I'd go back to doubting, worrying, scared I couldn't get out of this state, feeling again. Towards the end of September, let's say the last few days, okay, I was spending more time in the knowing, getting there, getting into that version of self, believing I was really becoming her. I, out here, didn't even look, didn't care, didn't question, didn't notice. And the more time I was there, right, the more time I was there. So you will hear me describe September as like it fucking started. It felt like literally September 1st to October 1st. When I started being dominantly in that state, that knowing feeling, then 3D started really reflecting. So when I was in dominantly looking at my 3D and shitting myself over it, it's not here yet. It's not here yet. It felt like nothing was changing. I didn't feel anything. But it was a gradual feeling of me changing on the inside. Do you see what I'm saying? So that the more time we are getting to that place of it's working, I'm changing, I know I'm becoming new self. When you're in that place, the question of where is it? It's not here yet. It's still crickets. That doesn't happen. It literally doesn't happen. Those kind of thoughts and questions come in when we're not in that place, when we're not in that state. So don't panic. We shift through states all day long. But you know, when you're having those questions, we're out of the state. And you could be really just the state next door. That's why I say don't panic. Return to your decision. Go back to new self. Even if you don't feel like it, even if you don't believe it, return. Return. Okay? Hi, Kim. Happy to see you because I'm struggling to just stay in the state that I'm SP's girlfriend and trying to believe that that is just who I am and that that's enough. But ego is testing me today for real. But love you so for being here today. Okay. This response, honestly, is going to be very similar to what I was just saying. All right. Take the pressure off of yourself. If you're at the place where you're getting really frustrated and feeling overwhelmed, take the pressure off. Take the pressure off. Now, when you're making that decision to be new self, and let's say you used to be someone who was heavily affirming, when you start practicing embodying states, it's a normal question, a normal doubt to come up. Whoa. You know, here I was affirming every hour on the hour, and now I'm focusing on my state. How do I think that? I mean, is that enough? Right? That's a normal question. because you had a habit of doing a bunch of shit. So that makes sense, okay? Yes, embodying states is enough. It's the repetition. I only do that. I only do that. Period. And I mean, I share my life with you guys. I have my manifestations and have maintained. And to be honest, my life has been amazing since embodiment, which is me making a decision and allowing myself to flow, right? I can't say any other, I can't think of any other better, is it adjectives? Yeah, adjectives to describe, okay? The amazingness. But if, because I'm thinking, are we thinking so literally and logically that you're waking up in the morning, you're making a decision to be new self, and then what? And then what for the rest of the day? See what I'm saying? What are we doing the rest of the day? Because if we find ourselves, going back to versions of self that are worried, are doubting, we need to self-soothe, do something in that moment instead of sitting in the doubts. Now, I'm not saying you're sitting in doubts. I'm asking, what do you do? What are you doing when those kind of thoughts are coming in? Because you don't have to sit and be afraid of your thoughts. But we're trying to be new self. Focusing on being new self, let alone it bringing your manifestations, you're going to start feeling better. The more time you're there, you're going to start feeling better. This is why when we change states, we feel differently, right? We're different versions of ourselves. So, number one, you don't want to be hard on yourself because you're having a down day. You don't want to be hard on yourself because you're having a day full of doubts or fears and feel like you're not doing enough. If you feel like you're not doing enough, you want to ask yourself why. Why do you think that? Why do you think that? What is the fear that's underlying it? Because just like making a decision or like embodying the state of the wish fulfilled, when we make that decision, it's the repetition of us choosing to be new self, just like affirming, visualizing, and scripting. It's the repetition of doing them that brings us to the new version of self, that brings the new state, right? It's the repetition of. So if you're finding that you are falling out of that state, the version of self, falling out of it, what's your go-to to go back? And for some of you, if that's affirming, then fucking affirm. If you feel like a few more fucking affirmations are going to help you shift, do it. You've got to do for yourself what self-soothes for you. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you want to throw in affirmations because that's going to dim the fear a bit, do them. You're never going to be wrong for choosing something else to do, affirming, visualizing, scripting, listening to tapes. Go ahead. But what's the underlying fear? And just remember, whenever we're doubting, whenever we're asking, where is it? Or worry about time, we automatically know, okay, I'm certainly not in the wish fulfilled. That goes without saying, right? If I've got a question, if I'm bothered that my 3D hasn't changed yet, I'm not in the wish fulfilled. I don't think I have it. And then if the question is, well, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. Okay, then quell that fear. Go ahead and affirm. Go ahead and script. I used to script just to fucking deal with my anxiety.